Act of the Apostles, chapter 4, from verse 5. And it came to pass on the morrow that their rulers and elders and scribes and Annas the high priest and Cephas and John and Alexandra and as many as were of the kindred of the high priest were gathered together at Jerusalem. So after they held, you know, after they lay hold on the apostles for preaching the truth, they kept them with them till tomorrow, till the next day. You understand? So by the next day, they now gather people around them, the scribes, the elders, the rulers, the high priests. They gathered, they now brought them so that they can question them. That's judgment. You understand? That's judgment. So because what they have done to them is a crime, to them is an offense, so they need to judge them. So there are four categories of people that um, came to them. Of course, it doesn't mean there are four people. These four categories of people may be, you know, maybe equal to about 20 people. Are you there? We don't, because we don't know the numbers of rulers that were there. We don't know the numbers of scribes that were there. We don't know the numbers of elders that were there. But the Bible gave us the names of the groups: the elders, the scribes, the rulers, the high priest. You understand? So all of them gathered because they needed to judge these people. They were made to look like, a blasphemous person. They were made to look like a serious criminal. Are you there? And then they kept them in prison, so to say, so that the next day they can question them. Are you getting what I'm saying? So, in order to question them now, they have to call the scribes, call the rulers, call the elders, and then the Pharisees. So, those four groups of people were the one dominating that meeting. So, it's likely we have about five elders, five scribes, five rulers. You understand, in that order. But everyone in that meeting, or the major people in that meeting, they were leaders. They were people, they were high-ranking officials because they needed to judge them. Are you there? To know their fate, whether to kill them or to leave them. Are you getting what I'm saying? There's something I want you to see from here. You see, I will encourage you. For those who are in the University of Discipleship, well, I think you have made a very good decision because as you continue with the school, you are going to stumble on church history. I'm not saying just a little touch. I mean, real church history where you are really going to understand some things about the church. Are you there? But for those of you who are listening to me who are not in the school, you can do your personal research, study on church history. Because if you don't study on church history, there are some things in the Bible that you will not appreciate. And I'm going to open your eyes to some things this morning as the Lord helps me. So, by the grace of God, I'm going to show you about 30 different cases. This is case one. Now, Saint Stephen. Are you there? Reason for persecution. He was preaching about Jesus Christ and the resurrection. Method of execution. Stoning. You find that in the book of Acts 7:54 to 60. So the first one was Stephen. And the reason he was persecuted was because he was preaching Jesus Christ and resurrection. That was the same thing these apostles were doing here. And it was the same thing the apostles did in chapter 4 that Stephen did in chapter 7, and he was stoned to death. Now, another person Peter, that's the same Peter we know in the book of Acts, Saint Peter. Now, that was between 1 to 68 AD. Reason for persecution, he was spreading Christianity and challenging Roman authority. Can you see that? That was the charge that was levied against him. Are you there? He was spreading Christianity and he was challenging Roman authority. Method of execution, that was, he was killed by crucifixion. Crucifixion means that the person is nailed to the cross. So that was why, according to history, if you study the how Peter died, after he was nailed to the cross, he told them to turn him upside down, that he's not worthy to stand like Jesus stood on the cross. So they had to turn him upside down. Jesus was standing on the cross, his head was up and his legs were down. Are you there? But for Peter, he said they should turn him. His own head should be down and his legs should be up. He said he's not worthy to die like Jesus. Are you getting what I'm saying? Number 3, St. Paul. That's Paul the Apostle, the one that wrote, the book of the Bible now. You understand what I'm saying? The one that wrote about 13 epistles. Romans, are you there? 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Ephesians. That was the same Paul. Now, reason for persecution. He was preaching about Jesus Christ and the gospel. Method of execution. He was beheaded. Meaning that the great Apostle Paul died, are you there, by having his head cut off. What a shameful death. He was an honorable man, but he died a shameful death. A kingdom giant died a shameful death. So it was this kind of council that led to all those decisions. They will first bring you to a council, the council of the elders. The elders will be there, the rulers will be there, the scribes will be there, the high priest will be there. Then they will look into what you are saying. The moment, you see, whatever conclusion they reach is what will determine the direction of your life. So I'm showing you all these things so that you will know the weight of this meeting that was held because of the apostles in the book of Acts chapter 4. Let's look at another person. And the next person is Saint Ignatius. Saint Ignatius of Antioch. Reasons for persecution. He refused to renounce Christianity. This man, they asked him, "Are you a Christian?" He said yes. And they told him, "Just say you're not a Christian and be free." The man said, "No, I'm a Christian. I'm a child of God." And let's look at method of execution. Fed to lions in the Roman Colosseum. So how they killed Saint Ignatius of Antioch was by throwing him to the lions. Are you there? Now they did this in the Roman Colosseum. This Colosseum is a building, a very mighty building that is is a circular building. So it's like a stadium. There's a field in the middle of it, so people can sit like you want to watch football and other sports. So what they do in those days is those people, they want to feed to lions. People will see it and be watching. They open the den, the lion will come out and they put the person on the field. So as the lion is killing or eating the person on the field, everybody will be watching. That's what they do when they feed people to the lions. This was how Ignatius of Antioch died. And what was his offense? He refused to say no to Christ. Can you see what I'm saying? You see, the early church, they have one character, which, unfortunately, I've not really been seeing it in our current church. But that's their character in the early church. In the early church, when you preach, and then your preaching looks, not the word looks, or sounds like heresy, you are going to face judgment. That's how sensitive they were to errors at that time. If you study church history, you will see several people that were killed like a criminal. Several people that were killed like criminals for preaching something that the elders considered to be false. Some of them were burned to death. Some of them were beheaded. I'm not saying this is not persecution now. This is not persecution of Christians from outside. I mean, the decision of Christians on some of them. Are you getting what I'm saying? So there are two kinds of persecution in the early church. And it's just that many people, their eyes is not open to see this. They only see one part, but there are actually two. The first part is the one that comes from the outside. Okay, maybe after this, I'm going to try to show you something so that you understand what I'm saying. The first persecution is the one that comes from outside. That's the unbelievers persecuting you because you are a believer. That's the first part of it. So during during those periods in church history, during the early days of the church faced a lot of persecution, such that if they know you are a Christian, they can kill you, they can behead you. Christianity is like a death crime at that time. They can throw them into the lions then, just for lions to feed on them, or any other thing. But just saying that you are a Christian is already, it's already a death something. And you get what I'm saying? By saying I'm a Christian, or once they discover you're a Christian, you are finished at that time. That's one aspect of the persecution. That one is external persecution. But you see, at the same time, there is another one that is internal. The external is what the unbelievers do to the believers because they don't believe in Christianity. So they kill them for being Christians. But you see, there's another dimension of persecution. Are you there? This one is internal. This one is among Christians, among the church fathers. Are you getting what I'm saying? Once the church fathers, once they listen to you as a minister in those days, and what you are saying sounds like heresy or looks like an error, they call you into a meeting. They ask you to teach what you have taught again. Then they screen you, they check what you are saying with the Bible. If they see that what you are saying is not consistent with the Bible, you are dead. So this one now is not external persecution. This one is within the house. This is Christians now placing judgment on you because they are seeing what you are teaching as a threat. Those are the two kind of persecution that was in existence at that time. Are you getting what I'm saying? For those of you that have done a little study on church history, you hear things like the Nicaea, the Council of Nicaea. Are you there? The Council of Constantinople. Are you there? The different councils like that. Those were the things they were doing in that council, checking doctrines, which one is wrong, which one is wrong. So in the early days of the church, they were so sensitive to false teachings, and they learnt that from the apostles. It was reflected in the book of Acts, and that was what these people wanted to do to the apostles, because what the apostles were preaching seems to be strange. Are you getting what I'm saying? So they needed to check what they are saying to know if it was truly true or truly right. And the moment if they by mistake find out or just conclude that that thing was wrong, they'll kill them. I'll give you examples so that you know what I'm saying. So this was, the church started from the book of Acts. So this character continued. It did not stop in the book of Acts till the days of, the other church fathers who were not mentioned in the book of Acts of the Apostles. I will give you. We're going to do a little history this morning. Now, another person is Polycarp. Polycarp, that was between 69 to 155 AD. Polycarp. Reasons for persecution: refusing to renounce Christianity and worship the Roman emperor. So there were two crimes that he committed. Number one, he decided to be a Christian. And they also gave him option. Just stop being a Christian and we'll leave you. Polycarp said no. And then the second crime he committed was that he refused to worship Roman emperor. Because in those days, the emperor, they are like gods. They are human beings, but people worship them like they are worshiping gods. But this man told them that, okay, no man should be worshipped. Instead of worshiping a man, he chose to worship God and he was persecuted. Let's look at his method of execution. He was burned at the stake. To be burned at the stake means they tie the person to something and then they set the person on fire. Whatever method, but when you hear burn at the stake, it means the person was burnt to death. And you know how painful that death can be. You are in pain, yet you cannot be free. You know how painful fire is. That was how this man was killed. He was burnt to death. Another person is Justin Justin Matthias. Justin Matthias. That was between 100 and 165 AD. Now, reason for persecution: he was defending Christianity and criticizing philosophy and criticizing pagan philosophy. Number one, he was defending Christianity. Then number two, he was criticizing pagan philosophies. Now, what does it mean to criticize pagan philosophy? Criticizing pagan philosophy here means that he was exalting the kingdom standards, i.e., above, he was lifting kingdom standards above the earthly standard. So he was telling them these things you are doing is not the will of God. And these are the normal things that people do. But he was telling them not to do what they are doing, that the law of the Lord is superior. So that exaltation of kingdom standard was what they saw as criticism on the pagan philosophy. This is one thing to note. When you exalt heavenly standard to the people of the earth, it will look like you are criticizing their philosophy. There's no way you will exalt Jesus and you will not offend men. It's not possible. That's what some of us do not know. You cannot successfully exalt Jesus and not offend people. And the people you are going to offend are those who are not submitted to Jesus. If you hold on to kingdom standards, what it means is that you are criticizing earthly standards. Because naturally speaking, that standard you are not holding on to, you are indirectly criticizing. Because the moment you refuse to live by a particular philosophy, what you have done is you have rejected it. And that, to the other people who are living by that philosophy, is an offense. They will see it as criticism. Are you getting what I'm saying? So this man, Justin Matthias, let's look at his method of execution. He was beheaded. They cut off his head. Can you see that? Can you see great Apostle Paul, the one that wrote a lot of epistles in the New Testament? As deep as he was beheaded. Maybe some of you do not even know that. At least you are knowing now. Are you getting what I'm saying? Look at how these mighty men died. Let's look at another person. So in those days, the devil uses these elders, the scribes, the rulers, the high priests. He uses them to actually end the life of many people. They would think they are being reasonable. Oh, let's look at your teachings. Are you there? So once they come to a conclusion that this person is false, even when the person is not false, that man or that woman is dead already. So many people died in those days, either because the person that even judged them. Okay, now look at this. This is a dimension of the persecution. This one is not internal persecution, like I was saying. This one is external. So people like Apostle Paul, Peter, and all the people I've mentioned now, either they died due to external persecution. But I want to show you an example of an internal persecution where the people that were judging the Christian were also so-called Christians too. And you get what I'm saying? So there is external, there is internal. And then the one in the book of Acts of the Apostle, chapter 4, is an internal persecution. Because those people that gathered in that place to judge the apostles, they were scribes, they were rulers, how you get what I'm saying? They were people that had positions in the temple. So it's like Christian judging Christian. Are you there? So Christian judging Christian is internal. Unbelievers judging Christian is external. So the one in Acts chapter 4 is external. The one I've listed here now is also external. But yes, that's no. The one in Acts chapter 4 is internal, because it were the people that were judging were those that had rankings in the temple. Are you there? Now what I'm doing is history, so it's not really like a normal teaching like that. But while I'm doing the history, once in a while I'll be striking some points, but I need to do this history. Do you understand? So that you understand some things, because Christianity is not a movement that just evolved. It is not in your own time. It's not in your own generation that it started. It has started thousands of years ago. So if you really want to be a good Christian, you need to know the things that happened while it started, how it started, the experience of those that started it, so that you will know what you have received. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the one in the book of Acts, chapter 4, is internal persecution. Are you there? The one in Acts chapter 7 that led to the death of Stephen was external persecution. The one I just listed here, are you there? The one that led to the death of people like Paul, Peter, and the likes. That one is also external. Are you there? Let's look at an example of internal. Let's look at another person, Saint Irenaeus. Yes, Irenaeus. Now, reason for persecution: opposing Gnosticism and defending Orthodox Christianity. So this man was going against the Gnosticism. Now, Gnosticism was a kind of movement at that time. Are you there? And there were a lot of errors in it. Are you there? The movement allowed certain unscriptural acts. So this man stood up against this movement, and then he defended what he believed in Christ. And that defense was seen as a crime. Let's look at method of execution. He was martyred. Of course, the according to history, the exact method was not known, but at least we know that they killed him. So we could not tell if he died by being shot to death or being thrown to lions or for whatever. We don't know the exact method of execution that they gave to him. But one thing that is sure is they killed him. For what? For defending the faith. You need to know all these things. Are you getting it? So that you will know the kind of faith you have received, the sufferings of the fathers. You need to know. Are you getting what I'm saying? Another person is Saint Origen. Are you there? That was between 185, sorry, 185 to 254 AD. Reason for persecution: defending Christianity and opposing pagan philosophy. Method of execution: tortured and eventually died in prison. So he was standing for Christ. He refused to submit or live by the pagan philosophies. The first torture him, meaning the first beating. After beating him, they threw him into the prison. It was in that prison that he now died, probably because of the injuries that he sustained from the torture. Because if they beat you like that, they are not going to take care of your wounds. Yes, because you are a criminal. So when they beat a criminal, no matter how wounded the criminal is, they won't treat you. So maybe it's maybe that those wounds that he has sustained were the ones that was responsible for his death. Are you getting what I'm saying? Who knows? I'm just thinking in that line, anyways. Another person is Cyprian. Cyprian. There's another person called Saint Cyprian. This one is between 200 to 258 AD. Now, reason for persecution: refusing to renounce Christianity and worship the Roman emperor. So they told him to deny Christ. He said no. Okay. Worship the Roman emperor. He said no. That became an offense. Are you getting what I'm saying? Anytime you stand for Jesus, you are offending the world. Anytime you act godly, you are offending the world. Every obedience to God's instruction is an offense to this world. That's one thing you must note. So an obedient child of God is an offender to the people of this world. Because each time he obeys God, he disobeys men. Each time he exalts Jesus, he's criticizing the kingdom standards, the worldly standards. Are you getting what I'm saying? That's the truth. You see, the standard you choose not to live by is the standard you are criticizing. How? Now, this is it. By refusing to work with a standard, believe a standard, live by a standard, you are criticizing that standard. That's what it means naturally. Are you there? So, how did he die? This man called Cyprian, he was beheaded. They also cut off his head. Now, the last person on this list is Augustine. That's the predecessor of Saint Alypius. This one is between 360 and 430 AD. Reason for persecution, he was defending Orthodox Christianity against Manichaeanism. Now, this Manichaeanism is a movement also, but it's an heretic kind of movement. Are you getting what I'm saying? So this man was now trying to separate the true Christianity from all this strange movement. Some of us will think that the strange movement we are seeing in our generation started from now. Maybe it's just starting. No, it started from the days of the early church. And there were different kind of movements in those days too that were heretic movements. So it's not what we are seeing in our generation is not the first. Now, why am I taking my time to show you all these people that suffered? Are you there? You need to know this so that you know the kind of faith that you have received. Are you there? Your obedience to God will bring you into the point where you suffer for the faith. Are you there? That's the truth. But that suffering is a glorious suffering because we are not hopeless. Our hope is in Jesus. Are you getting what I'm saying? So now let's look at examples of internal persecution. I told you external persecution is what the unbelievers, the decision of the unbelievers. These people are not Christians, but they are judging Christians. That one is external. But now let's look at internal persecution. In most of the church councils, what they did was judging other Christians, judging the teachings of other Christians. You see, when we don't understand church history, when we don't understand how Christianity started, we will be Christians, but we'll be doing it anyhow. That's why you see in this generation, anybody can just come online and they are just teaching things. They don't do that in those days. They don't do it in those days. You will see what you will understand what I want to say now by the time I begin to go deeper into history. You don't do it in those days. You don't just come out in the days of the early church. You don't just come out and say you caught one rema. Which rema? The next day they will call you to a council and they will test what you are teaching. They will ask you questions. If you are unable to biblically prove that thing you are saying, the sentence is heavy. It's like you have committed murder. Many of these men who preach things, all this in those days, so there were people that did new rema. We are the new generation, and they teach things that were not consistent with the apostles' doctrine. These men were killed. This is not unbelievers judging believers. These are fathers of the church, the earthly fathers of the church, judging the new remas. And then once they found out that those revelations are not consistent with the scriptures, they sentence the fellow Christians. They sentence them to death. Let's look at example. The first person here is Arius. That is between 255 to between 256 to 336 AD. Heresy. The charge that was levied against him was heresy, and the heresy was Arianism. That means the teachings he did in those days. So he was doing ministry. Not the same way today we have a lot of young ministers teaching something, and there's something different, and nobody is doing anything. In those days, this man called Arius also started the movement. He started the ministry. And the people that believed that teaching, they were called the move that he started was Arianism. That thing came from his name. His name was Arius. And those people that joined that movement, they were the Arianism people. Are you there? Now, the doctrine he brought was, the content of the doctrine was to deny the divinity of Jesus. Meaning that in Arianism, the thing that Arius was teaching the people, because he was gathering crowd, the things he was teaching the people was that Jesus was not divine. Jesus was just like an earthly, just a normal human being. Because maybe he must have told them that, of course, if he's divine, why would he stay in the womb of a woman for 9 months? So he was trying to establish a strange doctrine, teaching the people that Jesus is not divine. He did not come from God. God does not have a son. At least if he even has a son, he doesn't have a son in the woman flesh. These were his teachings. Let's look at what now. Look at, and then this teaching was judged in the Council of Nicaea. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, in those days, if they find out that you are teaching heresy, it's either they kill you or they excommunicate you. There's something they call excommunication. Excommunication is they send the person away from that city. Either they send the person away from the city. So I'm going to try my best to show you how they died, but let me still show you some things about their teachings. Now, another person is the Eusebius of Nicomedia. The crime against him also was Arianism, because he also supported the teaching of Arius. And then this matter was discussed in the Council of Nicaea. Another person is Macedonius. The heresy he preached was Macedonianism. And then the content of his teachings was that, he actually denied the divinity of the Holy Spirit. So denying the divinity of Jesus is Arianism. That's an heretic movement. And that person came up again with New Rema. Are you there? And then in that revelation, he was trying to deny the divinity of the Holy Spirit, telling the people that the Holy Spirit is not divine. It's just spirit from the head, something like that. And this matter was brought to the council of Constantinople. Now, when I mention councils, that's the sitting of the church, the sitting of ministers. So different ministers, the same way in these days we have CAN, we have PFN, and then they just meet and do programs. Are you there? In those days, what the Christian body does is not just meeting for programs. Majorly, they meet to judge the teachings of other people. They will call you and bring you to their midst. And then they'll say, now, that thing you are teaching online, teach us now. All the fathers of faith will be there. Are you there? They will sit with their scriptures, with their Bibles. Now, teach us now and defend this thing. So as the person is teaching, they are checking the Bible. Once, after some time, they ask you to stop. Then they now reason among themselves. This thing that this man is teaching online, let's check it. Once they find you guilty, they will excommunicate. There are two things. It's either they excommunicate you or they kill you. And they are going to do it legally. You get what I'm saying? So in those days, preaching heresy was a crime. The people making the judgment here, this one is an internal persecution. This is the church fathers ensuring that this truth is not manipulated. Not like now that anybody can teach anything. So remember that the heresy of Nestorius, which is called the Nestorianism, was that he denied the Theotokos for Virgin Mary. What's the meaning of Theotokos? Theotokos is Theotokos of Virgin Mary means that he denied that Mary was the vessel that God used to keep his son Jesus. So are you getting what I'm saying? So he denied that seed that was in Mary was a divine seed. So this Nestorius was teaching the people that, the Jesus that you see in the womb of Mary is just like every other child. There is nothing divine about him. That was marked as an heresy. And then immediately they have to call a meeting, a council immediately in Ephesus to address that issue. In those days, once they sense anything like heresy, they call meeting immediately to address it. They don't waste time. Another person is the Eutyches. This man lived between 378 to 354 AD. Are you there? And the teaching, this Eutyches started a movement called Eustachianism. Can you see? They all wanted to make a name for themselves. You see, if the reason you are in ministry is to make a name for yourself, you will stay in error. And this is what these people are trying to do. So you see, it's not now that all these things we are saying started from the days of the early church. People wanted to make a name for themselves. So Salem will come and be doing one thing, then he will call it Salenism. So everybody in that movement now will now be, they'll be Salemized. Like we used to give ourselves different funny names. Can you get what I'm saying? No matter what I do, the people I raise are Christians. They are not they are not Salemists. Because I'm not supposed to try to raise, can you get what I'm saying? I'm not supposed to try to raise an image for myself. No, we must build on the existing protocol, which is the truth of God's word. You see, when you are deviating from the existing protocol, it looks like you are making it, because you now see a group of people who carries your identity. So they are no longer called Christians. Because your name is Salem, they are now the Salemite. Either they don't believe the Bible now,
They now believe Salemism. They are the Salemists. And then you feel fulfilled. Yes, a group of people are living by my identity. That is failure. Because if you are truly succeeding, you must raise a group of people that can live by Christ's identity. Those that will be called by the name of the Lord, not your name. And you get what I'm saying? Now, this man called the Etuchis, who started the heresy called Estusianism, his case was discussed in the Council of Chalcedon, meaning the fathers, they held another meeting. They held an urgent meeting in a place called Chalcedon to discuss his matter. And what was he teaching? He denied the two natures of Jesus. You know, Jesus was both a spirit and a man at the same time. He was 100% God and he was 100% man. So this man denied it. So he picked one part. You see that he said, okay, Jesus is only a spirit. He's not a man. Or he said, Jesus is just a man. He's not a spirit. So either picking one of those two is an heresy. And because of that, the church fathers, they gathered in those days. Look at how sensitive they were to the truth. I just hope the same thing is still on in our generation. The errors we see flying around will have reduced. You see, when there are not people to call people to order, there will be a lot of misbehaviors. That's why anybody can just come up with any name, start anything that looks like ministry, and be teaching anything. And we see it online, we see what people are doing, but yet we are not doing anything about it. Nobody is taking any steps. We have the church fathers, but their role is not as effective as the early church fathers. Those ones, they don't manage errors. Once they cite you, they call you into a council immediately. Another person is Pelagius. This one was between the 354 to 418 AD. So he did his heresy was called Pelagianism, and the content was that he denied sin and the necessity of divine grace. So he was teaching the people that, well, there's really nothing called sin. So since there's no sin, you don't need divine grace. Which one is divine grace again? Can you see that? Which one is sin again? Nothing is sinful. That's what the man was teaching them. Nothing is sinful. Check your heart. Doesn't matter what you do, check your heart. If you check your heart and your heart does not condemn you, it's not a sin. A thing is only a sin when your heart condemns you. Can you see those kind of teachings? And then he told them, since there's nothing called sin, then you don't have to acknowledge any grace anywhere. That was the heresy he was teaching. And then his case was discussed in the Council of Carthage. So the church fathers, they met in Carthage to discuss his case. You know what it means? Anytime the church fathers meet on a particular person's case, they will call you to that meeting. It's not like they are discussing in the secret, what should we do? They will bring you to the meeting. Because the church fathers in those days, they are working with the authority, they are working with the government. So they first speak to the emperor. This person is. So they will bring you. Are you getting what I'm saying? Please just follow me carefully. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to show you the judgment that was given to these people that preached heresy. Are you getting what I'm saying? Number 4, there's another man called the Apollinaris of Laodicea. Now, the heresy that this man preached was called the Apollinarism. So you know what those people did in those days? They leave the elementary teaching, they leave the apostles' doctrine, and then they form their own doctrine. You know, they want to do something new. So it's not in this generation. It's not most of the things you see in this generation is not starting from here. These things happened many years ago. You see 300 to 362 AD, many years ago. So this man came and started a new move. And the people that followed that teaching, they were the Apollinarism people. Are you there? Now let's look at the content of this teaching. Are you there? This man is teaching actually denied the full humanity of Jesus Christ, meaning that he was teaching the people that though Jesus was a human, but he was not really human like that. He was saying that Jesus was, though he just came in flesh, he's not really a human being. So his teaching denied the full humanity. That means a part of his teaching acknowledged that Jesus was a human, came in human form. But the major part of his teachings did not really acknowledge. So in his teaching, the humanity of Jesus was not fully acknowledged. Are you there? And that was marked as heresy. So this man was also called to the Council of Constantinople, so that what he's teaching can be accessed. Another man is the Nestorius. This one is between 386 to 451 AD. The heresy was called the Nestorianism. His heresy was called Nestorianism. You discover that their movement was tied to their names. Do you see that? Arius formed Arianism. Apollinaris formed Apollinarianism. Can you see that? So this Nestorius now formed another one, Nestorianism, the new teachings. It will mean that the reason they are teaching those twin things is because they want to make a name for themselves. And we have a lot of people like that in this generation, teaching things because they just want to do something new. They feel that they need to just do something new, something different. Christianity is not doing something different. It's simply building on the existing protocol. You have to build on the existing protocol. There's the apostle doctrine. There's something that the Bible is saying. Build on it. Don't try to. Nobody should come and lay another foundation. The only thing is, in these days now, the discipline is not like before. If it is before, you won't see people just do anything online. Once they watch you starting a move and what you are doing is not consistent with the scriptures, they will call you to a meeting. And in that meeting, your faith will be decided. This was how the early fathers, this was how they handled the faith. So persecution in those days was not just external. Even among the Christians, they called themselves to order. You will see the judgment given to these people. I want to finish talking about them, then I will now show you the judgment that was given to them. Are you there? So this man called Nestorius started a move called Nestorianism. Are you there? And this move denied the Theotokos. The Theotokos for the Virgin Mary. Do you understand? Now, what he taught was addressed in the Council of Ephesus. That means there were different councils. When we say Council of Ephesus, what it means is the meeting of the church fathers in Ephesus. When we say the Council of Nicaea, what it means is the meeting of the church fathers in Nicaea. Nicaea is a place. When we say the Council of Constantinople, what we are saying is the meeting of the church fathers in Constantinople. So they met in different locations to address different issues so that the integrity of the doctrines of Christ will be protected. Are you get what I'm saying? So in those days, ministry is hard than now. Now ministry is simple. Nobody will arrest you. If you like be saying that Jesus is not real, nobody will arrest you. But in those days, it's part of their constitution. You don't come with any strange teaching. So somehow, as we begin to evolve into what we call liberty, this our liberty now give us license for nonsense. Somehow, are you there? Because if you trace that time to now, we believe that now this period is more better. Of course, now is more better than those days. But in that freedom that we have now enjoyed, it seems the freedom is now so excessive that people can now do anything. So we need to even check what you call freedom. Because now that we are now enjoying the abundance of freedom, we are now misbehaving. Now anybody can teach anything and then there's nobody to call them to order. The Christian bodies that we have, they just do what they do is programs. Majorly, they just do fellowships. Majorly, they gather and pray and do shared Bible and they go. Are you getting what I'm saying? Of course, I still believe that they do it in their little way, but it's not as effective as the fathers did it. How many times have you heard on the news that the Christian body called somebody and they told the person to stop whatever he's doing immediately? Yeah, I've never heard that on the news. Maybe you have. Are you there? But we have to be strict with the apostles' doctrine. Otherwise, the truth we have received will be corrupted. So now this is the order. At the initial level, the persecution that the church experienced was mainly external. the unbelievers were killing the believers because they don't believe in Christianity. So after some time, the light of God begins to shine brighter and brighter in the land. So people now began to embrace Christianity, such that Christians now have influence over the government. At this point, when Christians had influence over the government, are you there? They now moved from doing external persecution to internal. So now that Christianity has now been embraced, the church fathers, they are now doing what we can call internal persecution, so to say, because the external is no longer like before. People are no longer killing Christians. People are now becoming Christians. Christians are holding big offices in the society. So after the persecution started externally, but when God helped Christianity to defeat that one, they now moved from external to internal. Of course, there were still external persecution in some places, but it was not like before. It was no longer, external persecution is no longer common. At a point, it was no longer common to hear that somebody died because he was a Christian. So at that point where external persecution was no longer common, now the one that was now common was now internal. So we now see church fathers calling different heretic preachers to order, excommunicating them, and some even killing them. Why? They needed to protect the integrity of God's word. That was how dear the word of the Lord was to them in those days. Another person was Sebalius. He existed between 200 to 270 AD. The heresy he preached was called Sabellianism. Now, Sabellianism is a denial of Trinity and the distinct persons of the Godhead. So, Sabellianism denied Trinity. So, if you believe Sabellianism, you will not believe in Trinity. You just believe God is one. How can God exist as Father, Son, and no, it's not possible. God is just one. So the offense that this man committed was that he did not believe in Trinity, and the Father called him to their council. And the council for him was held at Rome. So the fathers met at Rome. Do you know what it means? Oh my God. See, we need to read church history. Are you there? Some of these fathers, in some of these councils, you can see like 300 and something bishops. You go and make your research. You can see like 400 and something bishops. Why? Everybody, they knew they knew what it means to protect the integrity of God's word. They would travel from different cities to come to that place. Once they announce we are meeting in Rome, nobody will say, well, my place is far. They will come there. So you can have hundreds of bishops sitting in that meeting just to judge one person. That's how sensitive they were to the truth. I just hope we still have the same character now. Now, Sabellianism denies the Trinity and the distinct persons of Jesus. And then the church fathers met at Rome to judge this case. Number 10, which is the last one under this, Marcion. There was a man called Marcion. He existed between 85 to 160 AD. His heresy was called the Marcionism. And Marcionism is the rejection of the Old Testament as the part of the New Testament. Can you see that? There are many people, even in our generation now, who are into Marcionism. They will tell you that Old Testament is no longer effective. It's just the New Testament. They will tell you to discard the Old Testament and to focus on the New Testament. We have them in our generation, and that is what we call Rema. But in those days, that thing started by a man called Marcion. He was the one that started Marcionism. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now let's look at what happened. Now they said he was not formally condemned by a council. So are you there? So when they brought him into the council, they did not condemn him. Are you there? But what he was teaching was widely rejected by early Christian leaders. Are you getting what I'm saying? So what he was teaching was widely rejected. Though they did not condemn him, they did not say, they did not really place a judgment on him, but they rejected his teaching. How can you say that the Old Testament, are you getting what I'm saying, is not part of the Bible? Now let's now look at what happened to these people. Are you there? So I need to begin to round off my teaching here because of time. But at the same time, there were also other people that faced a kind of external persecution. This is not internal, external persecution. That later, after they had killed them, they now discovered that, okay, what they were teaching were right. They now became the father of that teaching, the father of that doctrine. But yet, while they were teaching it, they were persecuted. There were also people like that too. If you study church history, I should have shown you, given you examples, but because of time, are you getting what I'm saying? There were people that were killed by kings in those days, but later, what they were killed for, they now became the captain of that thing. Their names were now remembered for the exact thing they were killed for, because it was many years after their deaths that they now discovered that, oh, these people were doing the right thing. Are you getting what I'm saying? So internal persecution that is between Christians, that one is like, checking ourselves, bringing ourselves to order. Thank God that now this is the message. Thank God that now, external persecution is not like before. Persecution has been reduced greatly. We even see people preaching on the streets. Thank God that external persecution, the Lord has helped us to conquer it to a high level. But that does not mean we should not bring ourselves to order. Let's check ourselves. Let's call ourselves to others. Are you getting what I'm saying? Let's call ourselves to order. The truth as a standard. People cannot just preach anything. You can't just explain the scriptures anyhow. The Bible has a standard way of interpretation. Are you there? It's not that's why the Bible says the Bible is not for personal interpretation. Don't interpret it anyhow. It has a standard. Follow the standard. Are you getting what I'm saying? The scriptures are not is not of any private interpretation. Are you there? Thank God that persecution has gone down. But let's still call ourselves to others. Many Christians now that external persecution is no longer there like it used to be, people are now relaxed. They are now relaxed. They accept everything. They agree with anything. Everything is right. No. God is not giving us freedom. He's not giving us liberty so that we can be comfortable in error. When we see things that are wrong, let's correct it. But let's ensure we are correcting in love. Of course, the church fathers, they may be harsh in their decisions, because if you check those councils, some of them were excommunicated because they were preaching things that were not consistent with the truth of the scriptures. Their decisions on those people may be harsh. It may be hard. But are you there? We can still correct, but we can do our own in love. At least let the person that is wrong knows that he is wrong. Whether he now accepts the correction or not, at least we know we have done our best. And we may not necessarily need to come online to address somebody openly and then talk down on the person. No, we can speak to them secretly and correct them. And if they are not yielding, then let's teach our people the right thing. You can correct an error without mentioning the name. Are you getting what I'm saying? Without saying, oh, this person is. Are you getting what I'm saying? So there's a way you can, if I see that somebody is teaching something that is not consistent with the truth of the scriptures, and I've spoken with the person and the person is not yielding and is someone that is preaching openly online, I will come to my people and teach them that same concept. Are you there? In the way that I'm led, in the way that the Lord is leading me to teach it. I don't need to mention the person's name, but I will teach my own. Are you getting what I'm saying? To counter that error without mentioning the name of anybody. Are you there? But one thing that we need to do is, let's not be comfortable in error. When we see error, let's correct it. When we see mistakes, let's correct it. The Lord help us in Jesus' name. So this was what the church, this started from the book of Acts chapter 4. Are you there? They gathered and they needed to check what the apostles were teaching. Of course, the apostles were actually teaching the right thing, but they still gathered to be sure. So the next time I come up for the teaching, we are going to know the decision of this council on the apostles. Now, Arius was excommunicated by the Council of Nicaea. What I hope we know what it means to be excommunicated. He was excommunicated, he was declared heretic, and his teachings were condemned. Are you there? Can you see that? He died. He died in 336 AD, and this was reportedly due to poisoning or divine judgment. Can you see that? So Arius, because he was found teaching heresy, was excommunicated, meaning they sent him away from the land. Go away, go to another place. Now, the next person, Eusebius of Nicomedia, he was also excommunicated by the Council of Nicaea and eventually reconciled with the church, but his view on Arianism were still rejected. So he was excommunicated. He later came back to the church to apologize, but yet that teaching, the church did not accept his teaching. They did not accept Arianism. Number 3, Macedonius. He was condemned by the Council of Constantinople. He was declared heretic and his teachings were rejected. Apollinaris of Laodicea, he was condemned by the Council of Constantinople. Are you there? His teachings were declared heretic. Can you see that? When we say the teachings were declared heretic, that means they publicly announced that nobody should listen to this person because he's heretic. That was how strict the fathers were to the truth in those days. The next person was Nestorius. Nestorius was also condemned by the Council of Ephesus. Are you there? And he was declared heretics. He was declared heretic and his teachings were rejected. He was exiled to Egypt where he died. So that means they sent him away from that city. They sent him to Egypt. Go to Egypt, please leave this place. That was also a kind of excommunication. Eutychus, he was condemned by the Council of Chalcedon. He was declared heretic and his teachings were also rejected. Pelagius, condemned also by the Council of Carthage. Are you there? Declared heretic and his teachings were rejected. So some of them were not really excommunicated. Some of them were not sent away, but they declared them heretic, meaning that they warned the people, if we see you listening to this person or following his teachings, you get arrested. This person is heretic. So if you follow him, you are joking with your faith. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the next person is Celestius. He was condemned by the Council of Carthage, declared heretic, and his teachings were rejected. Number 9 is Sebalius, condemned by the Council of Rome, declared heretic, and his teachings were rejected. The last person is Marcion, not formally condemned by a council, but widely rejected by early Christian leaders. His teachings were deemed heretical. He was excommunicated from the church, meaning he was sent away from the church. They sent him out of the church. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, this one now is this one is internal persecution. So when the external persecution went down, the church now began their own judgment within their own fold. Are you there? Like an example of an internal persecution was what happened in Acts chapter 4. I need to take you through history so that you will understand what was happening in this place. One more thing to show you.